She was working as a bartender in a dark, old bar. No one knew who she really was. No one knew she was a trained soldier. She was there to catch criminals who were stealing weapons from the military. One night, a group of Marines came into the bar. They looked like they were just having fun. But they were not. They were hunting for someone. They were hunting for her. One Marine grabbed her wrist. He wanted to test her. He wanted to see if she was who she pretended to be. He had no idea what he was about to face. He had no idea she was Special Forces. What happened next will shock you. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Captain Sarah Lawson worked behind the bar at a place called the Rusty Anchor. The bar was old and dark. The walls had water stains. The floor was sticky from spilled drinks. Cigarette smoke hung in the air like fog. Old men sat at tables and talked about things that did not matter. Country music played from a speaker that crackled and popped. No one knew the truth about Sarah. Everyone thought she was just a bartender named Sally. Her real name was Sarah. Her real job was very different. She was a Special Forces officer in the United States Marine Corps. She had trained for years. She could fight. She could shoot. She could hide. She could move without making noise. She was smart and strong and dangerous. But here, behind this bar, she had to pretend to be someone ordinary. Sarah wiped down the bar with a cloth. She moved the cloth in the same way over and over. Her hands knew the rhythm. Her hands could do this work without her mind thinking about it. This was good. It meant her mind could focus on something else. Her mind watched the room. She looked at the men who came and went. She noticed how they stood. She noticed how they talked. She noticed what they ordered and when they ordered it. She noticed if they seemed nervous or calm. She noticed if they looked at each other in certain ways. She noticed if someone new came into the bar who did not belong. Every person who walked through that door, Sarah studied. She was looking for one type of person. She was looking for someone who was part of a weapons operation. A weapons operation was when people stole military guns and bombs and sold them to people who should not have them. This was illegal. This was very dangerous. These weapons had already been stolen and sold twice. The military police had searched for the people who did this, but they could not find them. Sarah's boss was a high-ranking officer named Colonel Rebecca Hayes. Colonel Hayes believed that the weapons operation was happening through the port in San Diego. The port was where ships came in and went out. Big containers of things were loaded and unloaded. If someone wanted to steal weapons and move them on ships, the port was a good place to do it. Colonel Hayes trusted Sarah more than anyone else. Hayes had picked Sarah for this job because Sarah was the best. Sarah did not give up. Sarah noticed things other people missed. Sarah could stay calm when things were dangerous. Sarah had left the military base. She had taken a new name. She had dyed her hair a different color. She had changed how she dressed and how she talked. Now she was Sally, a bartender. She worked night shifts at the Rusty Anchor. She lived in a small apartment near the bar. Every night was the same. She came to work. She wiped down the bar. She poured drinks. She watched people. She waited. She was always waiting for something to shift. She was always waiting for a clue that would lead her to the weapons operation. But waiting was hard. It wore on Sarah in ways she did not like to admit. Pretending to be someone else every single day was tiring. She missed being herself. She missed the military base. She missed her real job. She missed her real life. But she stayed. She did her job. She did what Colonel Hayes asked her to do. On this particular night, Sarah felt something different in the air. She did not know what it was, but she felt it. The bar was not very full. It was the middle of the night. The time was around 2 o'clock in the morning. Most people were home sleeping. But the few people who were in the bar seemed to be waiting for something too. Sarah noticed that the people at the tables moved less. They talked less. They looked toward the door more often. They seemed nervous. Then the door opened. A group of Marines came into the bar. They were loud. Their boots made noise on the wood floor. They laughed hard and pushed each other. They pulled out chairs and sat down at a big table in the corner. They looked like they were off duty. They looked like they were just here to have fun and drink beer. But Sarah noticed something wrong. The way they came through the door was too neat. The way they sat down at the table was too organized. The way they moved together was too perfect. If you did not know how to look at people, you would not see it. But Sarah knew how to look. She had spent years learning how to look. These Marines were not here just to drink. They were here for a reason. Sarah's eyes moved to one Marine in particular. His name was Logan Parker. He was a staff sergeant. Sarah could see this from the marks on his sleeve. He was tall and had broad shoulders. His hair was cut very short. His eyes were sharp and alert, even though he was pretending to be drunk. Logan Parker sat at the table with his friends, but his eyes kept moving. His eyes kept looking at Sarah. She felt the weight of his eyes on her. She felt it like a touch. She did not like it. Her training kicked in. Her body stayed loose. Her face stayed calm. But inside, every nerve in her body woke up. Logan Parker was looking at her for a reason. And that reason meant trouble. Sarah kept working. She poured drinks. She delivered them to tables. She cleaned glasses. She moved through the bar the way she always did. But now, every movement was slower. More careful. More controlled. She was waiting. She was ready. Logan Parker and his friends sat at their table and talked. They laughed and made jokes. But Sarah could tell they were watching her. They were watching the bar. They were watching the doors. They were like hunters waiting for prey. Sarah's training had taught her to read rooms. To read people. When someone was hunting, their body language changed. Their eyes moved in certain patterns. Their shoulders stayed tight. Their breathing was shallow and fast. She had seen this behavior many times before. In training exercises. In real operations. This was the behavior of someone who was about to do something they were not supposed to do. Logan Parker kept glancing at her. His eyes would look away, then come back. His friends did the same thing. They were checking her. They were checking where she was. They were planning something. They were waiting for the right moment. Sarah's mind worked quickly. She thought about what they might want. They could want information. They could want to hurt her. They could want to test her. They could want to see if she was who she was pretending to be. Colonel Hayes had warned her about this. Hayes had said that the weapons operation used many Marines. Not all of them knew the full story. Some of them were just following orders. Some of them thought they were doing something legal. Some of them had no idea what they were really part of. But some Marines did know. Some Marines were helping with the operation on purpose. Some Marines had chosen to break the law. Sarah did not know which type Logan Parker was. But she knew he was about to do something. She moved through the bar. She served drinks. She smiled at customers. She acted normal. But inside, she was preparing. She was mentally going through all her training. She was remembering all the techniques she had learned. She was getting ready to fight if she had to fight. The bar seemed to get quieter as the night went on. More people left. Fewer people came in. By the time it was 2 in the morning, only a few customers remained. And Logan Parker's table of Marines was still there. Sarah knew it was coming soon. She could feel it in the air. The same feeling she had felt before real operations. The feeling that everything was about to change very quickly. Then Logan Parker stood up. He moved away from his friends. He walked to the bar. He walked slow, as if he was drunk. But he was not drunk. His feet were too steady. His eyes were too focused. He came to the place where Sarah was standing. Sarah was wiping a glass. She was looking down at the glass. She did not look at Logan Parker. But she saw him move closer. She felt the space between them get smaller. Then his hand reached out. His fingers grabbed her wrist. His grip was hard and firm. He was strong. His strength meant something. His strength meant he wanted her to know he was strong. His strength meant he wanted her to feel trapped. Sarah's heart beat faster, but she kept her face smooth. She kept her voice calm. "Can I help you?" she asked. Logan Parker leaned in close. His face came near to her face. She could smell beer on his breath. "I know who you are," he said. Sarah felt ice move through her blood. But she did not show it. She did not move. She did not pull her wrist away. That would have made him think she was scared. That would have made him think she was weak. "I'm just a bartender," Sarah said. "No," Logan Parker said. "You are not just a bartender. I know what you are." Before Sarah could think of what to do next, Logan Parker's friends stood up from their table. They stood up together, as if someone had told them to stand up. They moved toward the bar. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were mean. Sarah knew what was about to happen. She had trained for this. She had prepared for this. But she had hoped it would not happen. She had hoped she could do this job without a fight. But there was going to be a fight. Logan Parker's grip got tighter on her wrist. He started to pull her toward him. This was the moment. This was when everything changed. Sarah moved. She did not pull away from him. Instead, she moved toward him. She bent her wrist in a special way. Her wrist twisted. Her arm moved. She struck Logan Parker's arm with a hard, fast movement. It was not a punch. It was a strike to a nerve. The nerve made his hand open. His grip released. Pain shot through Logan Parker's arm. His face changed. His eyes went wide. Sarah pushed him back. His body went over the bar. He fell on the other side. He landed hard on the floor. Bottles and glasses fell. The sound was loud. The other Marines came at her fast. The first one tried to punch her. Sarah took a tray and blocked the punch. The tray took the hit. The force of the punch pushed Sarah's arm back, but she stayed standing. She moved her body and hit the Marine with her elbow. She hit him in the place where his arm meets his shoulder. It was a nerve point. The Marine fell to one knee. Another Marine came from the side. He wrapped his arms around Sarah from behind. He tried to squeeze her. He tried to lift her off the ground. His arms were strong. But Sarah had trained for this too. She drove her head back. Her head hit his nose. She felt his nose break. She heard him cry out. His arms got loose. She twisted her body and turned to face him. She hit him hard in the stomach. The air left his lungs. He bent over and could not stand straight. The bar was chaos now. Bottles were breaking. Tables were turning over. People were running away and screaming. Logan Parker came back over the bar. He was angry now. His face was red. He pulled something from his pocket. It was a knife. The knife was small and sharp. It was the kind of knife soldiers carried. It was called a tactical knife. The blade caught the light from the bar lamp. Logan Parker walked toward Sarah. He held the knife in front of him. Sarah looked around. She saw a bottle on the bar. She grabbed the bottle and broke it against the edge of the bar. Now she had a piece of glass with sharp edges. She held it up between herself and Logan Parker. "Stay back," she said. But Logan Parker did not stay back. He moved toward her. He held the knife up. He was trying to look tough. But Sarah could see fear in his eyes. He knew something was different about her. He knew she was not just a bartender. They moved around each other. Sarah watched the knife. She watched Logan Parker's wrist. She watched his eyes. His eyes would tell her where the knife would go before he moved it. This was how Sarah had been trained. Always watch the eyes. The eyes always show what comes next. Then the door of the bar opened. Military police came through the door. There were many of them. They wore uniforms. They carried weapons. They filled the bar very quickly. Their boots made loud sounds on the floor. At the front of the group was a young officer named Lieutenant Daniel Ortiz. He was calm. He had done this many times before. He looked at the fight. He looked at Sarah holding a piece of glass. He looked at Logan Parker holding the knife. "Stop," Lieutenant Ortiz said. His voice was not loud, but it was firm. "Everyone stop. Now." Most people stopped. But Logan Parker did not stop. Logan Parker looked at Sarah one more time. Then he moved toward her again. He wanted to finish this fight. He did not care that the military police were here. But Sarah was faster. She moved to the side. She caught his arm. She used his own movement against him. She threw him hard to the ground. His back hit the floor. The wind left his body. He could not move. The military police moved in fast. They put restraints on Logan Parker. They put restraints on his friends. They picked everyone up off the floor. Lieutenant Ortiz came to Sarah. He looked at her face. He looked at her arms. He looked at her clothes. He could see she was hurt a little, but not bad. "Captain Lawson," he said. He used her real rank. He used her real name. "Are you okay?" The moment he said her real name, everything changed. Everyone in the bar knew now. Everyone knew Sarah was not a bartender. Everyone knew she was a soldier. Everyone knew she was an officer. Sarah took a breath. She closed her eyes for a moment. The undercover job was finished. Her secret was gone. Everyone knew the truth. Medical staff came to the bar. They looked at the small cuts on Sarah's body. They bandaged her wrist where Logan Parker had grabbed her. They told her she was okay to go. But before she left, Sarah stood in the middle of the destroyed bar. Glass was everywhere. Tables were broken. The floor was wet with spilled drinks and blood. The quiet of the aftermath was strange and heavy. Sarah's hands were shaking a little. Not from fear, but from the rush of adrenaline that was leaving her body. Her heart was still beating fast. Her muscles were still ready to fight. But now the danger was gone. She thought about Logan Parker. She thought about what he had done. She thought about the moment when he realized she was not just a bartender. She thought about the look in his eyes. One of the other customers who had been in the bar came to Sarah before he left. He was an older man with gray hair. He had been sitting at the bar the whole time. "Thank you," he said to Sarah. "Those men were dangerous. I am glad you were here." Sarah nodded. She did not tell him that she was supposed to be here. She did not tell him that she was a soldier. She just nodded and thanked him for his kindness. Then Sarah was taken to the secure military facility. This facility was hidden. Not many people knew where it was. The walls were thick. There were guards at every door. Nothing could get in or out without permission. Sarah was taken to a medical room. A doctor came and examined her side. There was a cut from when Logan Parker's knife had caught her. The cut was not deep, but it was long. The doctor cleaned it. The doctor gave her medicine so she would not feel pain. The doctor stitched the cut with small, neat stitches. "This will leave a scar," the doctor said. "Okay," Sarah said. "It is not the first scar I have." The doctor smiled a little. The doctor understood that Sarah was a soldier. Soldiers understood about scars. When the doctor was finished, Sarah was taken to the meeting room where Colonel Hayes and Lieutenant Ortiz were waiting. The room was cold and bright. There was a metal table. There were chairs. There were no windows. On the table was a tablet computer with information on it. Sarah sat down. Her body was tired. Her body ached. But her mind was still sharp and alert. Colonel Hayes began to explain everything. "Logan Parker says he was following orders," Colonel Hayes said. "He says he was told to test your identity. He says he did not know why. He just did what he was told." Sarah looked at the tablet. She looked at Logan Parker's military records. They were clean. He was a good soldier. He had never been in trouble. He had done his job well for many years. "Someone gave him orders to test me?" Sarah asked. "Yes," Colonel Hayes said. "And we know who." Colonel Hayes then said a name that made everything make sense. "Colonel Richard Westbrook," Hayes said. Colonel Richard Westbrook was a high-ranking officer. He was in charge of special weapons programs. He had access to military weapons. He had the power to move weapons in and out of bases. "We believe Colonel Westbrook is the head of the weapons operation," Colonel Hayes said. "We believe he has been stealing military weapons and selling them to people who should not have them. Logan Parker is just one of many Marines he has been using." Sarah felt angry. She felt betrayed. A high-ranking officer was doing something illegal and wrong. And he was using other Marines to help him do it. Sarah let out a slow breath as the weight of the situation settled in. The exhaustion from the night remained, but beneath it, something steadier rose. She understood the danger had grown, and despite the ache in her side, she felt a renewed determination to follow the trail wherever it led. "There is one more thing," Colonel Hayes said. "Logan Parker will be part of this operation. He will wear a GPS monitor so we can track him. He will help us set up the meeting with Colonel Westbrook. I know this is difficult. I know he hurt you in the bar. But he did not know what he was doing. He was just following orders." Sarah listened. She understood what Hayes was saying. Logan Parker was a victim too, in a way. He had been used by Colonel Westbrook. He had been given orders without understanding why. "Will he fight on my side?" Sarah asked. "I believe he will," Hayes said. "When Logan understands that Colonel Westbrook used him, when he understands that he was part of an illegal operation, he will want to help catch Westbrook. Marines are proud. They do not like being used. They do not like breaking the law." Sarah nodded slowly. She understood this. She knew Marines. She knew their pride. She knew their sense of honor. If Logan Parker truly understood what Westbrook had done, he would help. "Okay," Sarah said. "I will work with him." "Good," Hayes said. "This is what I needed to hear." 2 days later, Sarah and Logan Parker met to plan the operation. Logan Parker came into the briefing room wearing a small device around his ankle. This device was a GPS monitor. It tracked everywhere he went. This way, the military could know if he was doing what he said he was doing. Logan Parker looked at Sarah. For a moment, his eyes showed regret. He looked sorry for what he had done in the bar. His face was bruised from the fight. His arm was in a sling because he had hurt it when Sarah threw him to the ground. "I did not know," Logan Parker said. "I did not know you were military. I did not know they were using me." Sarah did not say anything at first. She just listened. She studied his face. She tried to read if he was telling the truth. "Colonel Westbrook?" Sarah asked. "Yes," Logan Parker said. "He came to me 3 months ago. He said he had a special assignment for me. He said I was selected because I was loyal and trustworthy. He said the assignment was secret. He said I could not tell anyone about it." Logan Parker sat down at the metal table. He looked tired. He looked like a man who had realized something very wrong about himself. "He asked me to watch for someone," Logan Parker continued. "He gave me a photo. He said if this person came to the Rusty Anchor bar, I should test them. I should see if they were really who they pretended to be. He said it was part of a counterintelligence operation. He said he was helping the military by testing people." Sarah listened. This made sense. This was how someone like Colonel Westbrook would work. He would make something illegal sound official. He would make something criminal sound like it was for the good of the military. "I believed him," Logan Parker said. "I trusted him. He is a colonel. He outranks me. I thought he would not ask me to do something wrong. But he did," Sarah said. "Yes," Logan Parker said quietly. "He did. And I helped him do it." Sarah felt something in her chest soften a little. Logan Parker was telling the truth. He had been used. He had not known what he was really doing. "We will catch him," Sarah said. "We will make sure he pays for what he did." "I know," Logan Parker said. "And I will help you. I owe you that much." Logan Parker told them about the weapons operation. He told them about the drop points. These were places where people met to exchange money for weapons. He told them about the code words people used to identify each other. He told them about the route the weapons took. The weapons were stolen from the military base. They were put in containers. The containers were moved to the port in San Diego. At the port, other people took the containers. These people were buyers. They paid money for the weapons. Then they took the weapons and sold them to other people. It was a big operation. Many people were involved. Sarah listened to everything Logan Parker said. She wrote things down. She made notes. She asked questions. "Where do the meetings happen?" Sarah asked. "At the harbor," Logan Parker said. "There is a place near some old shipping containers. It is dark at night. It is quiet. No one goes there. That is where the meetings happen." Sarah nodded. She understood. The operation would happen at the harbor. The next night, Sarah and Logan Parker went to the harbor. It was very dark. The clouds covered the moon. The night felt heavy and cold. They walked between tall shipping containers. The containers were stacked high. They formed narrow passages like hallways. The containers were metal and made noise if anything touched them. Sarah and Logan Parker moved quiet. They moved slow. They did not make noise. In the distance, they could see a white van. Near the van stood 3 men. One of the men turned his head, and Sarah recognized him immediately. It was Colonel Richard Westbrook. Colonel Westbrook was older than Sarah. He had gray hair. He had a lined face. He looked like a nice grandfather. But he was not nice. He was a criminal. Sarah pressed a small button on her jacket. This button was hidden. The button sent a signal to the other Marines who were hiding nearby. The signal told them to be ready. Something important was about to happen. Logan Parker and Sarah walked toward Colonel Westbrook and his men. Colonel Westbrook looked at them. He studied them. One of his men came closer to Logan Parker. The man looked at Logan Parker's face. The man's face changed. The man suddenly understood something. "He is a spy," the man shouted. Then he shouted again, "It is a trap." Suddenly, guns appeared. Men were shooting. The quiet night became loud and angry. Sarah pulled out her gun. It was a Glock 19. The Glock is a popular military gun. It is reliable and strong. She moved behind a shipping container. Bullets hit the container and made a loud ringing sound. Logan Parker was also shooting. He was shooting at the men who were shooting at them. But he was not trying to hit them in a bad way. He was trying to force them to hide behind things so they could not shoot back. Sarah waited. She watched. She counted the shots. She knew when the gun would run out of bullets. She knew when there would be a pause. When the pause came, Sarah moved. She stepped out from behind the container. She shot 2 times. Both shots hit their targets. Then she moved back behind the container. More Marines came from the sides. These were Marines who had been hiding. They came to help Sarah and Logan Parker. They moved fast and controlled. Colonel Westbrook saw that he was losing. He ran toward the pier. The pier was the place where boats were tied. At the end of the pier was a small boat. The boat had an engine. Someone was in the boat ready to start the engine. Sarah ran after Colonel Westbrook. She was fast. Her training made her fast. Colonel Westbrook jumped into the boat. The boat engine started. The boat began to move away from the pier. Sarah ran to the edge of the pier. She jumped. She jumped far. She jumped high. She landed in the back of the boat. Inside the boat, Colonel Westbrook was angry and scared. He turned to face Sarah. He tried to push her. He tried to make her fall out of the boat. But Sarah had been trained for this. She moved with his push. She caught his arm. She twisted his arm. His balance broke. She put him on the bench seat inside the boat. She used a zip tie to hold his hands together. The boat slowed down. Marines on the pier had thrown something at it. More Marines were coming in another boat. Colonel Westbrook was caught. The operation was over. The morning came. The sun rose over the harbor. The light was soft and pale. It made the tall containers look less mean. Colonel Rebecca Hayes was waiting at the pier. Sarah came off her boat. She was walking. She was holding Colonel Richard Westbrook by his arm. Colonel Westbrook was in handcuffs. Marines took him away. Colonel Hayes approached Sarah. Sarah was tired. Her body hurt. The old wound on her side had opened up again when she fought with Colonel Westbrook on the boat. Blood had come through her bandage. The operation was successful, Colonel Hayes said. The weapons network is broken. All the people involved are in custody. The weapons were recovered. They are safe now. Sarah nodded. She was glad. The operation had worked. The criminals were caught. The weapons were safe. Logan Parker was standing on the pier. He was watching Sarah. His face looked different now. His face showed respect. His face showed that he understood what Sarah had done. His face showed that he was sorry for the bar. Sarah and Logan Parker looked at each other for a moment. Then Logan Parker nodded. It was a small nod. But it meant something. It meant he understood. It meant he was grateful. It meant he was sorry. Sarah nodded back. 2 weeks after the operation, there was a ceremony. Sarah was in a big hall. The hall was bright and clean. Everything smelled like polish and old wood. A general named General Amanda Wolfenson stood in front of many Marines and soldiers. The general was giving out medals. These medals were given to soldiers who had done something brave. The general called Sarah's name. Sarah stepped forward. She saluted the general. The general put a medal around Sarah's neck. The medal was gold and silver. It had a special mark on it that meant bravery and courage. Everyone clapped. The sound of clapping filled the hall. It was loud and warm. Sarah felt grateful. She felt proud. She had done something good. She had caught criminals. She had kept people safe. But even as everyone clapped, Sarah knew something. She knew that the real courage was not in this moment. The real courage was in all the moments that no one saw. The real courage was in the night in the bar when she had to pretend to be hurt but was not. The real courage was in all the times she had stayed calm and quiet and strong when no one was watching. After the ceremony was finished, Sarah left the hall. She walked outside. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. She thought about everything that had happened. She thought about the bar. She thought about the fight. She thought about Colonel Westbrook. She thought about Logan Parker. She thought about what courage really meant. Courage was not always about big fights and loud noise. Courage was about the small choices you made when no one was looking. Courage was about staying true to yourself when everything was pushing you to be someone else. Courage was about doing the right thing even when it was hard. Sarah had done an undercover operation. She had pretended to be someone else for a long time. Every day, she had woken up and pretended. Every day, she had pushed down her real self and brought out a false self. That took courage. When the fight happened in the bar, Sarah could have used all her strength and all her skills in the most obvious way. She could have fought without holding back. She could have shown everyone exactly how strong she was. But that would have broken her cover. That would have failed the operation. So instead, she fought carefully. She fought with restraint. She fought in a way that seemed like a normal fight, not like a special forces operation. That took courage too. When Sarah realized that Colonel Rebecca Hayes trusted her with this difficult operation, Sarah understood the weight of that trust. Hayes had put Sarah in danger. Hayes had asked Sarah to risk her life. Sarah could have refused. But Sarah did not refuse. Sarah accepted the mission. Sarah did her job. That took courage. Many soldiers did things like this. They did things that no one would ever know about. They served their country in ways that would never be written in newspapers. They did brave things in quiet places where no cameras were watching. These soldiers were the real heroes. Sarah stood outside and watched the sun go down. She felt calm. She felt at peace. She knew that she had done the right thing. She knew that her choices had mattered, even if no one would ever know all the details. She thought about the people who served quietly, like her. She thought about all the brave choices they made that no one would ever see. She thought about how their strength came from doing what was right, even when no applause waited at the end. Real courage, Sarah understood, lived in the choices made when no one was watching. And those choices shaped the world more than anyone knew. As Sarah took a slow breath, she felt grateful. Grateful that she could serve her country. Grateful that she could make a difference. Grateful that she understood the real meaning of courage. She hoped that other people might look at the quiet acts around them and see the strength hidden there. She hoped that people might understand that real heroes were often invisible. Real heroes did their jobs and then went home. Real heroes did not need applause or medals or recognition. Sarah Lawson was one of these heroes. She had done her job. She had caught the criminals. She had kept people safe. And she had learned that the greatest courage was the courage no one ever saw. That was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything.